give you guys a couple quick standards that we try to go after. And we do this each week. So each week, like I'd sit down and say, all right, this is what our family is. Like our family is a family that looks people in the eye, like even something simple like that. And so it's like, well, my boy, so that's the standard. I'll say, Psalm, did you look him in the eye, dude? Like respect, show him value. That shows value. We're a family that values people. And so that's something that we'll talk about. We'll fix our focus on like maybe one a week. Cause like it's easy to get overwhelmed, dude. Trust me. Dude, I'll get like thinking about how low some of my family standards are compared to where I want them to be, whether that's honoring, respect, cleaning the room. Like I'll say, hey, our family's a family that takes care of our stuff. We're good custodians of our room. We're good stewards of what we have. And so I'll have that. Yeah, we'll make our beds. And then I'll look and it's not, right? And then I'm like, dude, but just focusing on one, right? And so I think that's an important thing to sit back and say, hey, what do you want your family to look like? If you could design the perfect picture of your family, right? Like this is what our family looks like. If somebody sat back and saw the behaviors of our family, the thought processes of our family, the feelings of our family, the vocabulary of our family, what would that family picture look like? Well, then you sit back and say, okay, let's start talking about that then. Let's talk about it. Let's fix our focus on one of those things specifically this week. You know, one of the things we can say is our family is a family that speaks life. And so that makes it easy then, because you're saying this is who we are, guys. This is what we are. This is our standard. And so now when the kids are fighting, right, and I have it happen all the time where, you know, Perleus, you know, recently she's like, oh, I hate you. I'm like, you know, she'll say that to Penelope. I'm like, sweetheart, let's talk about it, right? And I don't know where she got that from, but the reality is like, she's watching different stuff. She'll have her iPad and pick some stuff up. We try to limit it, but there's still that. So there's consumption that's everywhere, right? And so, but I can stop and say, sweetheart, let me talk to you. Like our family is a family that speaks life. Now, it seems like you're angry. It seems like you're frustrated, and that's okay to have those feelings. But what's not okay is for you to speak death. It's just to speak evil, to say you're a loser or you're this. Like we don't speak to somebody's identity. If you're frustrated, you need to go calm down and realize that when you speak out of turn, you're speaking out of what our family values, and you're a part of our family. I love you. I know how good you are at this. I expect you to get better. Do you understand me? Yes. So then I'll walk her through it. So next time you feel like that, what are you going to do? And so it's just because it's a standard. Now I can say, all right, let me stop when that thing takes place and have that conversation with him. And I mean, dude, to me, the thing that's been most effective is like that, like kind of like a 1 minute reprimand where I can just say, hey, listen, this is what took place. I'll let her know how I feel about it. And it's always going to be based off of our standard. So like that makes me feel really disappointed and feel kind of sad when I see one of my kids that I love treat another one of my kids that I love, and I know you love each other, your sisters. And so when I see that, it makes dad feel really sad and disappointed. And the reality is this: I know who you are. I know you're a kid that loves your sister, values your sister, honors your sister. You know our values. You know that we respect and we speak life. And so I expect you to get better because I'm not okay with this taking place. And if it does, this is going to be the specific consequence. You're going to write them an apology letter. You're going to do these. And then having those specific consequences, because I want you to speak to this, dude. Like a standard that doesn't have any consequences when it's not upheld is not really a standard at all. Right? Like if I have a standard where you got to be at my office at 8 o'clock and you're my employee and you don't show up, you show up at 9 o'clock and there's no write-ups, there's nothing there. Is it really a standard I have? No.
Right.
I mean, in fact, what you would, after like 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe months go by and I'm okay with you coming at 9 o'clock. There's no way you could say that company has a standard of getting to work at 8 o'clock. That'd be foolish.
Right.
That'd be foolish to think about. It'd be foolish to say. You have a desire, like you said. You desire a standard of wanting that to happen, but maybe you sat back and said, you know what? This person's killing it. They're doing a great job. I don't really care if they're there an hour late because they stay 2 hours after work. Well, that's okay, but you need to switch your standard and communicate the fact that that's not your standard anymore because it's not.
Well, dude, number one, I think what you just communicated was like parenting 101. I think every parent needs to rewind what you just said and learn how, because dude, I'm thinking about how you just walked through like what'd you call it, a minute?
It's like a 1 minute
A
reprimand.
1 minute reprimand. Because, dude, I'm just thinking about all the different conversations that I have with my boys, because they're at the age where they're fighting like they're brothers. So there's a certain level of like, are your brothers, duke it out a little bit, but at the same time, like I got to teach you to honor, respect, and like at the end of the day, we are family. So I'm thinking about how you broke that down, and dude, so much wisdom in that. Again, like the power of community. Because, dude, I'm going to listen to that again and just take that thought process and begin to speak that into my kids. And even the way I parent, that's going to make me better as a parent. So, and so if you're a parent, again, rewind that and go back to it. But you're right, man. Like the standards are like, it would kind of be like, we have this great faith and we believe all these things, and we even got pictures in our wall in our house, and we have, posters everywhere, and we have them on the wall, but we don't actually live up to them, or we don't like, they're just a sign that's on the wall, but it's we don't live that way at all. And I think that's what most people do. It's like it's the same thing with faith, right? It's like we confess this faith, but we don't live it out. So it's like, do you really have it at all?
Yeah.
Like you say you have the values, but you don't live the values, or you don't live the standards. So it's like you might as well not have them at all, because you're just making things worse for yourself, right? And so like what you're saying, like if your standard is to come in at 8 o'clock and you allow people to come in at 9, well then you do have a standard. It's just no standard at all. Like do whatever you want. That's your standard, right? And so the standard is what you hold yourself and your people, your kids, your employees, your staff accountable to, right? So.
Well, dude, I think it's the consequence too is such a big part of it, right? Like for me, being self-employed, one of the things that I had was I had some standards early on. Like I want to be able to be the person that goes the extra mile.
Right.
I want to be the first one in the office. All these kind of things that I knew from just getting around other people that had seen success, that these were some of the standards, right? And so one of the first things I wanted to always look at in any area, right, is like I've asked you quite a bit about like, what do you do to prepare and study? Like what platforms you use, what standards do you have? Like because I'm trying to learn so I can figure out what standards do I need to have when it comes to those things, because I don't want to just wing it. I don't want to just go off of what I think, because what I think is not going to get me to where I want to go. Because the thought process I have now has got me where I'm at. I got to work up a different thought process. And so like in insurance, man, it was the same thing. When I remember being 19, starting the business, and I had a standard that was, I'm going to go out and I'm going to see 15 appointments every single week. That was my standard, like 15 appointments minimal, right? And so nobody's perfect. Nobody always hits their standard, right? But I knew that if I continue to not hit my standard, well, then my standard is no longer the standard. I've got a new standard. It's a standard that I continue to hit. And that might be 10 appointments. So it was, if I hit my 15, and this is going to sound funny, dude, but I was thinking about this the other day. Honestly, God, truth, man. Like if I hit my 15 appointments, Tosh and I, we would go to Applebee's after church on Sunday and have lunch. And that was a big deal, dude, because I grew up and like we didn't go out to eat, bro. Like if I got McDonald's and I got those little like kids meal, the Diet Coke, dude, I would sip it like I would sip it like it was coffee, and I would just cherish it because like we didn't have any money, we didn't go out to eat, so like it was a big deal. Like we're going to Applebee's, It's probably why I was like 25 pounds overweight my first year in insurance. Don't even say nothing pain. But if I didn't hit it, my consequence was I was going to work Sunday. And the reality is my wife didn't like me working Sundays, which made it even worse. And so when I had this thought of like, dude, I don't want to freaking keep dialing. It's 8 o'clock. I've been here all day. It was like, man, I got to get 2 more appointments. And so I would make that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, not because, and it was because I had a consequence, and that 2 hours to pay the price was easier than having to work Sunday. And the reality is, I knew that I was going to force myself to do that. That's another thing. If you tell your kids, like, this is a standard, if you don't uphold it, this is the consequence, and you don't uphold the consequence, it's worse than you even having any of it set up in the first place.
100%.
It's kind of like if you're stealing all the time, and you learn not to steal because you read the Bible, but you keep stealing, you feel worse for knowing. You're better off not knowing. And there's even scripture that supports like, the consequences and things that are tied to being understanding and wise and knowing of it, but not doing of it. Right. And so I just think that that's a big, big deal. And the cool thing is like, when you put those consequences in place and you use those to uphold your standard, what you're starting to do is to treat yourself in such a way that builds integrity and confidence with yourself.
Yeah.
And so now you're more likely to get to your standard, because in the time that you're spent doing the thing that gets you to your standard or your goal or your status quo or whatever, you're actually more confident and bold and hold yourself at a higher level, because, I'm a person of integrity and I do what I say I'm going to do. And so it's like a compound effect. It's like the underlining thing that you don't see, but that's there, that produces fruit in different areas, that compounds it. You know what I mean?
I love it. That's good. So number 2, standard worth achieving. And the last thing, you want to touch on this?
Yeah.
Sure, we tease them. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. The third gift that you can give to your kids is a faith that's worth sharing. Dude, I think this is, like you said in the beginning, this is a faith is probably, your faith in God is probably the most important thing that you need to pass down to your kids. And which tells me, like, I got to have a faith that's worth passing down, right? A faith that's worth sharing with them. Like, hey, you got to have a testimony. You got to have something of value to give to them that would even make them want to buy in to the faith that you have. And so I think, again, it just comes back to authenticity. It comes back to living out what you're saying. It comes back to not just, and it hits home for me, because I have to make sure that I'm not living one way at church and living another way at home, right? Because they see it. So it's like, oh, dad's, teaching on this, but not living that. So I'm probably more aware than most to make sure that the faith that I'm preaching from a stage is being lived out, because the last thing you want to do is push your kids away. And you hear this all the time, like, oh, I grew for pastors' kids, right? I'm a PK. I grew up in church, and that's the reason I don't go to church, is because, like, I saw 2 different lives, or 2 different faiths, or 2 different walks, one being said and another being lived. And so as a parent, man, we got such a duty and obligation to make sure that the faith that we're professing is the faith that we're living, because the faith is more caught than it's taught, right? So I can teach all day long. Like, dude, I can walk my kids through the Bible and they'll be staring at me like, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, my teacher said that same thing. Like, I get it. The fish and the well and the sword and the giant. Okay, whatever, Dad. But like, if I could live out of faith, like, and we're in a valley moment and we're in facing a giant, they go, hey boys, this is what the Bible is teaching us. Now it's time for us to have faith. And they could see you walking the faith out. Because most people, like, in valley moments or in hard times, for whatever reason, in those seasons, they lose their faith. Like, that's the point in time where you must have the most faith, right? So you don't need faith when things are going great. You need them in the valley. You need them when, like, there's no way. Like, the door is closing, right? That's when you need the faith, and that's what your kids need to see. So you got to have a faith that's worth sharing. One of the worst things that we can do as parents is block our own kids from their testimony. I was like, that's deep.
That's good,
because everyone's going to have a testimony, right? They're all different, like how God's working in their life to ultimately get them to realize who they are, number one, in Christ, and then what they're called to do, right? But it's like, man, we all got a different story, a journey, things that we've gone through, how we were raised. And then what we try to do as parents is try to block our kids from all the mistakes that we made, all the dumb decisions, all the things how our parents raised us. And we try to prevent them from seeing certain things. But it's like, at the end of the day, man, you can't block your kid from their testimony. Like, they're going to have to go through some stuff in order for them to build the resilience, to build the strength, to build the character that they ultimately need to be, right? I was thinking, I'm thinking about, like, the epistles that Paul wrote. He wrote all these letters to churches, but he wrote them in prison. But it's like, if he never went to prison, would these letters have been written? I don't know. Probably not. Like, he probably had to be in prison for him to get that perspective to then encourage the churches, right? So it's like, man, there has to be some things that our kids go through in order for them to fully step into the identity that they're called to live in. But it's like, as parents, how do we navigate that? That's the question that everyone wants to figure out, right? And so as parents, man, we try to block them from pain, block them from like, our kids are in private school, right? So I have a lot of conversations with, like, my friends whose kids aren't in private school, who see all kinds of stuff at school. And there's different opinions, right? So it's like, well, dude, they got to grow up sometime. And I agree. Like, they're going to get introduced to the world at some point. But, like, it's almost like, how much do you shelter them? And I don't really have a good answer for it, but it's like, and number one, I think the most important thing that you should be speaking over your kids' identity.
Yeah.
Like, this is who you are. Like, no matter what anyone else says, no matter what the world says, your friend says, like, this is who you are. This is how you're made in the image of God. Like, you're a child of God. Like, and I think once you get your identity right, then you can thrive in any situation,
Sure.
right? So I think you do this so well, like kind of with the affirmations and the reminders and the gratitude journals, like things like that. It's all just comes back to identity and character, and this is who we are as a family, this is who we are as children of like McLean's and Courtney's. Like, so I think it starts there, man. If I could just give advice as a parent, like, number one, speak identity. Number two, speak confidence. Like, you want a confident child.
Yeah.
For me, like, and kids have different personalities, right? And so you could say the same thing to two kids and they receive it totally different.
Right.
And one's insecure and one's secure. It's like, well, how did that happen? Well, it's just like, that's just nature, right? There's some things you can't control, but as a parent, my number one job is to raise them with the identity in Christ.
Yeah.
That's what I would say is the most important.
I think so too. I mean, I think that as far as sheltering, like my whole opinion is like, because I had somebody say, well, dude, like, why do you not let your daughter go to parties?
Right.
Like, they're going to get exposed to it. It's like, well,
when they get in college.
Yeah, my job's not to put them in positions where there's going to be temptation and the lower level version of themselves could possibly be brought out by a bad choice because they're there. Right. I mean, it's like, why not just like, start smoking some weed in my house with my kids too? Like, they might, no, I don't want to expose them to those things, right? But my goal is, as they go through different situations, whether that's even as a younger age, like Penelope, right? Kind of like Bronx, like they're very high. Their emotional IQ is very high. Mm-hmm. And sometimes their greatest gift, it shows up in a kind of a weakness, right? When they don't know how to control it. So Penelope will have these moments where she'll just get very emotional, whether that's anger or sadness, and she'll just kind of go out, right? Like, she's not really cognitively there. And I remember when she was like 5, 6, thinking like, well, I gotta, try to give her what she wants. Like, and everybody was like trying to appease Penelope because they didn't want her to get triggered. And I realized that, no, I gotta help champion her through those emotions, right? And help her experience those emotions, but learn how to manage the emotions by going through it. Yeah. Opposed to, let me just try to shut the emotion down by like, what do you need? Okay, let's appease Penelope. No, that's not gonna allow her to grow in her emotional IQ and her emotional resilience and intelligence and regulation of emotions. And so what we did, we started to say, all right, let's change the environment. Penelope, let's go over here. Let's do some breathing. Right. Let's count from 1 to 10. And we changed the environment, and we're just teaching her some of the things that she was going to need to do to regulate the emotions, right? And it's still there, right? She still has those, but I've watched her now learn how to handle emotions at such a high level where she's even better at empathy and emotion than all the other kids. I mean, to me, she's almost better at it than I am. Like, she'll come in and say stuff where, like, we were getting ready to go to Mexico. My wife was like, I don't know if I want to go to Mexico. And all the kids are, because she was like sketched out about it. And kids are like, Mom, we don't want you to go to Mexico. Right. Because like, that's what kids do. They don't want the parents to go. And, Penelope comes in the room and she's like, Mom, I really don't want you to go either, but I think it's important that you go because that'll be good time for you and Daddy. And like, that's what she said. I'm good. Like, there's no way. But she just like, and there's so many different situations where like, you could see the emotional maturity that never would have been there if I wasn't just finally like, all right, I don't think this is, and then I did some research, I read some stuff and cared enough to be like, all right, I need to make sure I'm championing her well with this, right? And so I think that even self-esteem, man, like when the kids, if you're able, you allow them to kind of go through some stuff and you just ask questions and let them kind of to work through it. Now you've got a kid that can solve some problems. Yeah. But if you're solving every problem for your kid, and we all know that the kids are going to face problems as they get older, they're going to face problems as adults. And if they've never built the muscle to handle problems, now when a problem that's a level 6 comes and they've never built their level 6 problem solving skill, that's going to take them out. Like, it's going to debilitate them. It's going to cause them to retract. But if you've allowed them to experience problems and how to solve them and let them kind of fall on their face and learn how to navigate that, when life throws a 6 problem at them, man, they're a level 8 person. They're like, I've been here. I can handle this. So I just think that kind of stuff for me is difficult because as a parent, dude, like especially with my girls, man, like Psalm's different. It's interesting. It's like I want to, like tee him up to conquer the world, right? Create a warrior and like let him go through some stuff. And like with the girls is like they fall and get hurt. It's like I want to protect them from the world, you know?
Yep.
And but I've just learned that like I got to get my emotions in check first, because it's hard not to want to just take care of a problem.
Solve every problem for them. Step in.
It's difficult, man. So it's almost like on us first is what I've realized. Like I got to get me right.
Yep.
In my perspective, right, or else I'm not going to be able to go out there and help get them right.
Well, dude, so I was sitting at the boys' soccer practice on Tuesday, and they're practicing with the older team, and there's some big boys who like, I mean, they're probably like getting ready to turn 13, and Bronx is barely 10,
right?
You know, and so the other number 10 on the bigger team is like, dude, almost as big as me. And he was like low key punking Bronx, like, dude, you're short,
right?
Like put like his arm on the top of his head, is like, dude, you're little. And Bronx was like a confident kid, but like he wasn't sure like how to like handle it, kind of. And so Bronx was like not really getting that he was like making fun of him because he's so innocent. Like he wasn't really fully understanding that this kid's like making fun of me. But so he was like, what? Like, all right, whatever. But I was like aware of it, and dude, like my blood pressure was like boiling.
Yeah.
Like, dude, who does this kid think he is?
Yeah, where's his dad at?
Like, dude, I saw his dad. I knew right where his dad was at. I was like, dude, if this kid like pushes him or something, like, dude, I'm likely to get up. But it's like, no, he needs that.
Yeah.
Like he needs to experience it, because I experienced it. We all experience it. Like if I just step 100%. In, then it only makes it worse for him. Like, because I might have put a Band-Aid on that moment, but the second I'm gone, everyone's not gonna be like, dude, what's your dad gonna step in now?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, man, we can't protect him from everything. Another thing I would just say, just as a parenting tip, as we kind of wrap up, is it is, I think what kills kids' confidence is when we compare them to their siblings.
Yeah.
Like when you compare, because dude, we were super guilty of this for a long time. Is like, did you see like your brother doesn't do that? Like, son, did you see like how he responded and you didn't respond? Like, or like vice versa, right? So, and then it's like, man, you're comparing like two totally different kids. Like they got different ways to respond. Like I wouldn't want to be compared to anyone.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's you see that a lot, especially with parents who have multiple kids. It's like but they're all different, and they're all unique. And if you can foster their personalities and character traits, like they could use those things that the world might say is like, oh, they got an attitude problem, or they think they're behavior issues. But like, if you could foster it in the right direction, like those are the things that will like lead them to the place to where God's calling them to be.
Yeah. For me, it's impactful and it's empowering to say, hey, listen, if they've kind of got that thought process, and sometimes like, you know, as you get going through life kind of beats you up, right? Like it kind of messes you up. And even like building a business, I look for, you know, a lot of times somebody that's young, and I'm not like age profiling, but I just know that like if they're younger, a lot of times they haven't had that childlike faith beaten out of them, right? And I think one of the number one qualities that you can have to reach your next level is having that childlike faith, that faith that it's not, well, maybe not, I'm not sure. Just like, no, I trust that the best is yet to come. I trust that you know, whatever I put my hand to is going to be great. And I think for these two, we've intentionally, you know, poured into and as all of our kids. And so we just want to really go through some questions. And so let's kick it off with the first question. We'll start with Blaze and then we'll go to Penelope. So a leveled up life, you know, you've heard us talk about it. Penelope, you were at the Leveled Up Life Leadership Roundtable. You took how many notes?
27.
27 pages.
Yeah, pages.
And you said the last speaker was Jeff, right?
Yeah.
And did you take notes on him or?
I just videotaped him.
Why?
Because my hand was hurting.
So many notes. Shout out to Jeff Osborne.
So hey, that's one thing that comes to coachability, right? Like you want to be coachable. When you're a child, you're typically better coachable, right? Usually it's, you know, Blaze, you play at a very high level in soccer on one of the best teams in the entire country. And a lot of that is you're more coachable now at this age. And as you get older, the goal is to keep it. But how many know that as you get older, sometimes you lose the coachability, right? And taking 20-some pages of notes just says like, hey, I want to learn, I want to get better, and so I want to kind of use that as an interlude into like, what does a leveled up life mean for you, Blaze? Like, what does that mean?
A leveled up life means to me being the best version of yourself and being better than you were yesterday. That means every single day trying to get better at what you do.
I love it. I think that's better said than we've ever
Yeah, I know, right? If we've never explained to you what a level up life means, there you go.
That is it.
Listen.
What about you, Penelope? What's a leveled up life?
It's where you do the best version of yourself than the old version of yourself.
Okay, so you live the new you, not the old you.
Yeah.
Just get a little bit better. I love that. And so two things that you guys are definitely doing is, I think, every day trying to get a little bit better. What is something like for you guys that you think that you do that most adults probably don't do that makes a difference for you?
Wake up early. Yeah, wake up early.
How early do you wake up, Blaze?
3:30.
Is it 3:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Or 3:30 in the afternoon?
In the morning.
In the morning? All right, so...
We got to unpack this.
Yeah. You unpack, because you told me the other day, you're like, dude, Blaze, like, I woke up and he was out there playing soccer, and then you hustled your little brother to go join you. He couldn't hang as well. He went and did it, and then he fell asleep.
Well, I think before we get to that, because waking up at 3:30 in the morning is not normal for anyone, right?
No.
But it wasn't always like that. Like this is, I would say, within the last probably year is when you've really begin to develop this growth mindset. Going like, hey, I'm going after something. I have a vision for where I want to be. You know, I've seen people get to a certain place in life that I aspire to be, and so now you've been researching, you've been asking questions, you've been getting in the right rooms, you've been watching videos, you've been trained. So like, talk about like that mindset. Why you want to get up so early? Like, how does that set you apart? What's the benefit of doing that? Because you do, like, you get up at 3:30 in the morning and you train, right? And then around 5 or 6, you go outside, you train out there, then you rest, and you have the whole routine. We'll get into that, but like, why do you even want to do that to begin with?
Well, I just want to get better and just fulfill my dream. I always wanted to be a professional soccer player when I was older, and I'm trying to be that.
Nice. I love it. But why 3:30 in the morning? Why not sleep until 9?
Well, I saw Kobe do it.
You saw Kobe do it?
Uh-huh.
What did he say?
He just, I heard a video of him saying, like, his routine. He said he wakes up at 3, trains at 4, like 4 to 6, and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Well, I didn't believe you when you first showed me, remember?
Yeah.
Because he was like, Dad, I'm waking up at 3:30 in the morning. I was like, no, you're not. Like, what are you going to do at 3? It's dark outside. Like, it's quiet in the house. What do you do? He's like, well, that's what Kobe does. I was like, Kobe didn't do that, dude. Like, there's no shot. And he's like, yeah, he did. There's a video. And I was like, well, show it to me. So 2 minutes later, Kobe was like, yeah, I work up. Most guys train twice a day. He's like, but if I'm in the off season, I'm training at least 2 times as more as what everyone else is training. So he's like, by the time you work out at 7, I've already got a workout in. And then while you're working out, I'm resting for like an hour. Then he had a whole routine dialed in. So I was like, but it's the Mamba mentality, right? It's the getting after it mentality. It's the like, I'm going to do more than what's required, more than what's expected. And so he stayed the night at your house last night, Paul, right? All the cousins. And so we got a call last night at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, Tasha's like, hey, we set the alarms over here.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody waking up at 3:30.
And so Mariah and Natasha were on the phone last night with Blaze, trying to walk him through, like, Blaze, I don't think it's the best idea to wake up at 3:30 in the morning and train in your house, causing a ruckus. And Anna, you were there last night too. Did he wake up at 3:30, or how did it look like this morning? What'd you guys do?
At 7:50.
Okay.
Yeah, he was supposed to wake us up.
Because we told you guys sleep in, relax, right?
We want to make sure you guys were alert and astute on this podcast today, so it's very intentional.
So walk through your morning routine. What do you do?
So I wake up at 3:30, and I train at 4 to 6. And then I rest, and then I train 7 to 9. And then I rest, and then I train 2 to 4, and then another 7 to 9 at the end of the day.
This is in your days off from your team? Because right now you're on a month break, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Hey, we didn't talk about the age. Blaze just turned 10. Ani just turned 10. You guys are like 4 weeks apart, right? So super close in age. The one thing I want to highlight to Blaze's point, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but like he found somebody that he could aspire to be as far as their behavior, what they did, what they exemplified. And so Kobe, right, like last time we were talking about, you're like, I like the Mamba mentality, you know. And so I think that's one of the things that everybody needs to do. I think it's easy as a kid, you kind of like, you look up and say, hey, I want to kind of be that, and then you find the person that is that, and then you can kind of say, well, what did they do? What were the commonalities? And Kobe, a commonality that, trait he had was this 3:30 a.m. wake up. And so I feel like for anybody on here, the first takeaway, and we're going to have a bunch of takeaways that the kids are going to give us. Takeaway number 1 is find somebody that you can emulate, somebody that is going after what you, and you don't have to be them. Blaze isn't Kobe, but he's going after some of the things that led Kobe to be at that high level of success, which is what you want to be in soccer, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so Penelope, you wake up, we go running during school, it was like at 5 a.m., right?
Yeah.
So 5 a.m., you'd want me to wake you up and go on this run before school. Tell the story on how that happened.
So when I was driving to soccer practice with my friend, she was like telling me how she waits like goes to this field and runs at 5. She didn't say 5 p.m. or 5 a.m., so I thought 5 a.m. And then she was like, you should run with us tomorrow. And then I was like, okay, I'll tell my dad. And then when I got home...
And I didn't believe you, right? I was like, there's no way they're getting about 5 a.m. and running at Brewster.
Yeah. And then I said, yeah, for sure. And I called her, and I said, you run at 5 a.m., right? And she's like, yeah. When we ran the next day at practice, I said, you tricked me, and why did you say 5 a.m.? But it was 5 p.m.
So we went to Brewster, and the gate was closed.
Yeah.
And so we're like, what the heck?
Right.
And then I asked you, I said, do you want to still run? And this is back in winter, so it was like, it said like 32 degrees.
Dark outside.
And then it says below but it feels like 27 degrees. It's freezing. And I was hoping you were going to be like, no, let's just go home. Like, what are we doing? And you're like, no, let's go run. It was windy out. And then that kind of started our journey in running, which the truth is, like 5 p.m. really wouldn't have worked all the time because of all the other, your sisters that got soccer too and stuff like that couldn't do it. But that started, so it was one of those things where she tricked us, but it ended up being a good thing for us. And we started training. And what was initially like the biggest thing that led you to want to train that early and start running? Like, why did you want to do it at first? Do you remember?
Because my dad always said that if you do something hard to start the day, then everything seems easy. And then every time I run, I just think of that. And then it just is fun running.
So you enjoy it?
Yeah.
But you also wanted to be first in the race for education, remember?
Yeah.
And so it led to that, and then you ended up getting first in race for education. So you were the first in the whole school to run. I think it was like 7 miles in 1 hour, and then you were like you wanted to do a half marathon. So we started the praise run, right? And how did you finish in the praise run?
First.
Out of all the kids and adults, or just the kids?
The kids and adults.
Yeah, all the lady adults, right?
Yeah.
And so it just kind of shows that if you first pick a goal, right, get a big why and desire, like I really want to hit this, I want to accomplish this. It's easier to pay the price because it sucked a lot of mornings, huh? It was freezing, cold, dark. This is like we're running at 5 a.m. Cars are flying by. It was really cold, but you did it, and was your days usually easier the days that you did it in the morning?
Yeah.
So stuff didn't bother you as much?
Yeah.
Well, good job, sweetie.
I love that. What's so cool when I think about a story like that is, man, God uses people who are moving, right? God uses people who are going after things. Like a lot of people will pray to God, and they'll ask God, like, hey, God, I need a job, or I need an opportunity. And then they kind of just sit around and do nothing, expecting God to just do it for them out of nowhere. But God usually blesses the person that's going after something, right? And when you tell that story, it's like you had a motivation to wake up early, like same with you, Blaze. You're going after something, right? And you couldn't see the end from the beginning. You didn't know what was going to happen, right? It was just by accident that you showed up at the park at 5 a.m., right? But God used that and your yes to say, let's do it anyways, Dad, to plant a seed on the inside of you to not only want to win the race for education, which is to raise money for your school, right? So you not only won that race, but that inspired the praise run, right? Which raised funds for kids with cancer to have free treatment at the Leveled Up Health Center, right? So just your yes, you're like, hey, I'll do that. Hey, Dad, let's not go home and sleep. Just your willingness to be, obedient to what you felt was right in the moment, to your hard work. God used that whole situation, and now because of that one small yes that seemed insignificant in the moment, God used it to bless and is continuing to bless so many people. And so I think it's just a cool story to hear. Like, man, if you want something, like put feet to the ground. Like we're called to be the hands and the feet of Jesus, right? You don't need feet if you're sitting down.
That's right.
Like your feet are dangling right now. Like you're sitting down. You don't need your feet.
You're on a pillow.
Right? You guys are on a booster chair, right? You don't need your feet right now, right? But like God wants you to put your feet on the ground and to go after something, whether that's to build a business or a family or a dream, right? But so like God's plan requires our participation.
Hey, the one thing I want to add to that too, bro, because like we just got done. What did we just get done doing right before we walked in this podcast? What did we do downstairs?
We went through the questions.
Sing happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, sing happy
Yeah.
birthday. Yeah.
To who did we sing happy birthday to? Do you guys remember?
A kid who has
Bianca.
a Bianca.
So she just turned 4, and that's a great testament to what I mean. Like what you're talking about, Brian, is like that doesn't happen if the praise run doesn't happen, raises funds. And Bianca's a little 4-year-old little girl that has her birthday today. And so Giovanni and Angelica are like, hey, let's make sure we get the hyperbaric chamber all decorated with happy birthday. And we all were down there singing her happy birthday. And, she's just battled brain cancer and spine cancer. She had a big tumor in her brain. And now she's able to use the health center. They drive over from San Bernardino now like 3-4 times a week, and they use every single health modality for free. And that was just a fruit of your yes on it and saying, let's just continue to run. All that kind of comes from it. And so sometimes your guys' yes, what you got to realize is it doesn't just bless you, but it also blesses others. And sometimes a yes that seems painful for you in the beginning, it wasn't just for you, it was for somebody else. And there was a blessing that your yes unlocked somebody else's blessing. So pretty cool, right?
There's a little boy who his mom and sister, or his mom and him pulled up in the driveway, and next door is an old man who just lost his wife, and he's out front sitting on the porch, and the little boy, he's like 5 or 6 years old. They pull up in the driveway with his mom. He's like, Mom, can I go sit with the neighbor? He's out front. And so she's like, sure, go over there. And so the little boy walks over there, and he pulls up a rocking chair and kind of sits with this guy for what seems like a couple hours, and they're just sitting there, and the mom's kind of at a distance watching because the old man just lost his wife. And so the little boy comes back over after probably, 20, 30 minutes. And the mom goes, what did you guys talk about? And the little boy looks at his mom and goes, we didn't talk at all. I just simply helped him cry. And it's like, man, what a powerful picture that sometimes you don't need to say anything. Like, you just got to be the person there for someone else to speak. And you're just that helpful ear, and what did that do? It didn't necessarily highlight the boy's day or the mom's day. It highlighted the old man's day. Like, man, I had someone there for me, with me, And so I think as we listen more than we speak, especially in this generation, I said it last week, man, everyone's got one of these now. Everyone's got a microphone. Everyone's got a platform. Everyone has something to say. But sometimes, man, we got to be a better listener to make someone else's day.
I love that, dude. So, it kind of goes back to, like, if you want to, impress people, you talk about the successes. If you want to impact people, you talk about the failures, right? And I think it's so often we want to give this advice like we've got it all figured out. But when we can sit back and then listen and then relate and say, listen, I hear your struggle, man. Like, I felt that same way. Yeah. And the response should be more of one of connection and empathy, right? Because we've actually heard them. But we can't ever think to say, hey, how can I relate to that person if you're so focused on what you want to tell that person, right? So I think that listening ear, man, where you sit back and say, like, let me really just kind of hear their heart in it. Well, now you've got the ability to say, like, I've been in your shoes, man, and I know, and this is what I found. So when you do introduce maybe some information to them, it's from a standpoint that they understand that they've been understood.
That's right.
And once they've been understood, now you can really sow into them. But if you're just worried about what you're going to say, oftentimes, man, when you actually say it, it doesn't land on fertile ground.
It's good. Here's number 4. The fourth way to be a human highlighter: pray for and with people. This is good, man. I think this is one of those things that's missing in culture.
Yeah.
That when you do this with people, especially in a setting that's outside of the normal, and this messes people up in the best way possible. I think this is one of the ways to actually live a set apart life is when there's conflict, when there's struggle, when there's because like what you said, no one has the market cornered on life. Like, we're all going through something, no matter what it looks like on the outside. And when that friend or that coworker comes to you, man, if you pull them aside and pray for them, number one, you're inviting God into the situation, but you're reminding them, like, man, you're not alone in this. Like, you might go home by yourself, but you're not by yourself. And I think this is something that I try to practice more than I preach. Is like, man, we got to be people of prayer. We got to be people that invite God into the situation, and invite His power, His presence, His wisdom, His love, His grace into our lives. And I think, man, when I don't know, for me, when people pray for me, when I'm going through a hard time, I leave going, man, I needed that. Yeah. Like, I feel better. Absolutely. I feel stronger. I'm reminded that I'm not alone. I'm reminded that I do have what it takes. I'm reminded that I can do all things through Christ. I'm reminded that I'm an overcomer. I'm reminded of all the things, of all the labels that God says I am and not the world says I am. And I think when you could get out of your little bubble, because what do? Man, we think in our heads, like, man, I don't have the words to pray. Like, I don't know what to say. When we get out of ourselves and begin to remind ourselves, like, it's no longer us who live, but Christ who lives in us. And it's not about us. It's about the person you're trying to encourage, like, through the Word of God. Then I think, man, what a way to highlight that, like, there is more to their life than what their struggle is or what they're going through. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think the one thing I want to point out before we hit number 5, dude, is that what you said was so spot on, because I think most people would agree with that. Like, hey, sometimes the best answer is just to pray.
Yeah.
Like, let's just pray. Let's get God in the middle of this situation. Let's have you be reminded. But I think oftentimes it's so easy to be like, well, what if I don't say it the right ways? And you're kind of thinking about, and I remember going through that discipleship program and those courses that we went through, 10 years ago, probably now. And we kind of got challenged with that, right? And so I remember thinking and feeling that, like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think it was probably back, what was that, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when we had gone through, I think it was OSL 1. Mm-hmm. And what I realized as I kind of continued to go through the discipleship class, and God was highlighting all kinds of different things to me, it's like, that's because I'm focused on me. Right? That's an ego thing. I'm worried about, like, how I look. Yeah. It's like, see, and I think that oftentimes when we're struggling with that, it can even be before you go give a talk or speech or if you're worried about, like, what am I going to, if I'm going to mess up? Well, you're not focused on the people, right? And this is going back to the whole concept of being a human highlighter. You cannot be a human highlighter if you're looking at yourself. Yeah. You're not. What you're going to do is, like, draw like a Sharpie mustache on them. It ain't going to look good, right? It's going to be worse than you thought. Like, you got to be intentional to say, okay, thank God this isn't about me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm only in this moment right now called to serve this person. And it doesn't matter nothing. So when you do that and you put your focus on them, well, now you can really highlight, and then you could, you're not going to be tripped up with, like, the way your future you looks if the future you messes up and how that future you feels. That's ego, right? And so I feel like that's an important thing for everybody to know. Like, you don't have to think about it. Like, you're just there to serve. Yep. If you're just there to serve, man, it becomes easy. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to you just do it, right? So
I love it. And here's the last one. We kind of been sprinkling this point all throughout, but it's point out the good in others. Man, when you see someone struggling, you call out the good in them. You remind them of who they are. You call out their strengths. You acknowledge their hard work. You acknowledge the things that they've, the good things that they're doing. You point out the good in people, and it's just a reminder that sometimes the world could be cruel, right? The world could be like what trends the most. Negative news, right? I don't know if there's a news station that just like, hey guys, here's the next hour, we're just going to point out the great humanity, like all the good things going on in your city. Yeah. No, you watch for 5 minutes of, like, this car wreck and this murder and this burglary and this, all these crazy things, because we like the for whatever reason, we're like addicted to the negative. That's what sells. That's what, the headlines sell. And so I think when you can point out the good in people, again, it's just such a different way to live when you can look past all the negative stuff going on and you can call out the good, man, you just set yourself apart. And so I think as in our organization, in your business, even in your home, like, begin to call out the good. I know for me, when life gets overwhelming at home, I mean, dude, you know better than anyone. You got 5 kids, I got 4. So, dude, it gets loud sometimes. Yeah. And I can find myself only calling out dude, you didn't take out the trash and you didn't make your bed and you didn't listen to your mom. And what am I doing? I'm just adding to the negativity, and I'm just I'm only getting back the thing that I actually don't want because it just makes their attitude worse. And they're right. So if I can begin to flip the script and call out the good in them and look past all the bad things that they've done or the things that they didn't do, then, like you said, they begin to see themselves in a different way and begin to walk in who they actually are and not what they've experienced.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's powerful, brother. I mean, it really is. And I think for everybody on here, the question to ask is, like, are you putting yourself in environments where others are calling out the good in you? Because oftentimes, right, you become a product of your environment. And so if others are calling out the good in you, oftentimes you're going to probably be more inclined to call the good in others. But if your group of people you're always hanging out with, man, is always like messing with each other and speaking negative or these labels that you really need to have lifted in order to go to your next level, it's almost going to be impossible, man. Like I've always said, like, show me the people you spend the most time with. I'll show you your life in the next 5 years. That's where it's going to be going.